Hey, leave the dog alone. Oh, I have a cat. I have a cat joining me. Hello, would you like to say hello? Okay, goodbye. Hello everyone, and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Rita, and today I'm going to be going over all the books that I plan on reading in July. Sorry about the wacky ass lighting and this angle that we're at. It's because I'm currently babysitting a dog and a cat, and I am not home. Cool, okay. So last month, I managed to read a whopping total of 40 books. A lot of it was manga, but still, I feel like that's just a slightly insane number. And this month, my original goal for last month was 15, and I think I exceeded that. This month, I am going for a 20-book goal with some manga volumes on the side that I'm not really counting towards the goal, but if I happen to finish them, that would be great because they're from the library. Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I am a little burnt out from last month's reading. I feel like I'm having major book hangover, but because I read so many different series, it's not like about one specific thing. Like overall, I'm just feeling like, oh my god. So before I keep yapping, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first book that I would be trying to finish this month is Graceless Heart by Isabella Banez. I'm currently 60% of the way through, and unfortunately this is not going well because it is July 7th and this is the first book I started this month and I'm still reading it. Unlike my previous couple months where taking it for me to take long, I was enjoying them. This one I just like kind of despise every single time I pick up. So the premise is actually pretty great, and basically we're set in Renaissance period Italy. We're following Ravenna, who's the daughter of innkeepers, but she also does stone carving on the side. And in this time period, the Catholic Church and the Medici family are kind of like beefing, and the Medici family has just taken over her town and enforced and have created a bunch of strict laws and curfews that has made life in the town like awful. So her brother tries to rebel and gets sent to prison, and the only way that she can save him is by entering a stone carving competition run by a rich family that's friends with the Medicis. And like to win that competition, you get a favor from the family, and she was planning to use it to set her brother free. However, she did not realize by also winning that competition, she is becoming the family's personal artist, and she's forced to go with them to Florence, where she gets mixed up in a plot between this family and the Catholic Church. One of the reasons that the family secretly wanted her was because she also possesses magic, which at this time, because of the heavy influence of the Catholic Church, it would consider her a witch, and she is not really welcome at her hometown, so she's kind of stuck and has like nowhere to go. And the plot, there's a lot of potential here. Unfortunately, I just feel like the book isn't very much acting on that potential. I do have some beef with this author in the sense where like her other books are okay at best, and I was really hoping that this one was better. This is the same author as the What the River Knows duology, and if you were around me while I was reading those, you'll know I have thoughts. That duology kind of focuses on a main character who lives in Argentina. Her parents are like Egyptologists during like the Victorian period in Egypt, and so her parents go missing. She goes to Egypt to look for them, and there's a lot of mysteries, and it was a really great setup, just like not great in execution, even though I'm having slightly different problems than I did with that duology. But it's just unfortunate because like I'm not having a good time. I did see that this book series is supposed to be a quartet, and right now, just because I don't know whether I want to DNF this one, I don't know if I'm going to continue it. But the next book in this series doesn't come out until 2027, so maybe I'll try it again. Then I'll have to consider. But yeah, not really off to the greatest start this month. So the next book that I'm going to be trying to finish this month is Inuyasha Volume 11. The premise of the series is we're following our main girl. So she's the granddaughter of a priest. She lives at a shrine with her family, set in modern Japan. However, she never believes any of the legends that her grandpa tells her, and one day she falls down a cursed well on her family's property and is sent to the past. She meets the half-demon Inuyasha, who is looking for the Shikon Pearl, which will allow him to become a full demon. However, when they fight over it, they break the pearl and the shards get scattered. However, these shards make demons more powerful, so they're trying to find the shards to reunify them. Inuyasha still really wants it. She's trying to keep it away from him, but they have to work together to get the shards. I was really struggling with this series at the beginning. I feel like the first couple arcs were really repetitive and really boring. However, now that I've gotten out of that like initial arc, there's enough things happening now where I'm like, oh my god. So I'm going to continue this series. I do have volume 12 set for later in the month. I'll show you where I have it in my placement. But yeah, I'm having a great time, and my library has all of them, so they're free! Yay! Yeah, especially because there's like 50 volumes. That's a lot even for me. So if you're here from last month, you'll know that I'm slowly making my way through the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. My plan this month is to make it 200 pages. I'm currently 250 pages in. I'm feeling feelings. I'm really struggling with wanting to pick this book up just because, like, bad things have already started to happen, and, like, of course this is a prequel, so, like, you already know what's kind of gonna happen. So oh my god, I don't really tab books very often, but there's just so many, like, oh my god, Coriolanus Snow is just, like, a terrible person. And this is just also, like, Suzanne Collins is, like, a masterclass of how to, like, write characters thinking without, like, she's just such a good writer. Anyway, I'm having a great time, but I'm also scared. Up next, I have Kami-sama Kiss Volume 8. I actually also, in, like, reserves, have 9 and 10 from the library, so I'm hoping to also get to these this month. So in this series, we're following our main character, Nanami. She basically became homeless after her father ran away because he has tons of debt, and while she is trying to navigate what she's going to do next, a random man finds her and is like, "You can have my home." And she's like, "This guy is crazy, but I'm desperate, so I might as well go." When she goes, she finds out that she's accidentally being made the god of the shrine, and Tomoe is a fox spirit who is assigned to become her familiar. I'm currently in a part of the story that's still covered by the anime that's out. This is I'm forgetting what it's called, but the meeting of the gods, and she's about to enter the, like, underworld to deal with the thing that she's been assigned, and I'm having a great time so far. It's definitely a well-loved series for a reason, and I'm very glad to start reading the manga just because the manga is a little bit different from the show. I'm really sad to find out that the anime only has 2 seasons, even though they are a little bit different from the manga. Hopefully that's on the ticket to be remade one day, especially because Yona of the Dawn is getting season 3. I'm so very excited because I'm also currently reading Yona of the Dawn. So the next book that I'll be reading, I don't have a physical copy for, and that is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This one has been a pull from my TBR drive for a while, and I just have been avoiding getting to it, mainly because the library I mainly go to did not have a physical copy or an electronic copy of it, and just because I've never read anything by that author, I didn't really want to buy a book. But I had been keeping an eye out on used bookstores and I've had no luck. However, I just got a new library card at a different library, and they have a physical copy and an ebook copy, but the physical copy has been on hold for a while, so I did go with the ebook copy. However, if you know me, I don't like ebooks, so that's unfortunate. I am willing to give it a try just because, like, the premise does sound really cool, and I feel like if I enjoy the first couple chapters as an ebook and it's more like the physical media type is bothering me, I will continue waiting for that hold and push it off. Or if, like, that book is lost and it's still marked on hold in the system, like, I will suck it up and I'll just go buy a physical copy, but I am trying to avoid that. And even though I said the premise is cool, I have completely forgotten what it is. Okay, next. I'm knocking over the camera. Up next, I have volume 3 of Kiss Him Not Me. I actually also have volume 4, which I'm hoping to get to this month. And if you've never heard of Kiss Him Not Me, basically we're following a self-proclaimed fujoshi, which, if you're not familiar with Japanese, like, BL culture, basically these are female fans of BL boys love, and she went through a, like, miraculous transformation, and she's suddenly very attracted to all the people in her class. And she has a bunch of guys who are kind of, like, fighting for her attention. However, she doesn't really want them to kiss her, and she doesn't really want to date them. She'd much rather if they kissed each other. And such a goofy plot, which is, yeah. And I'm only on volume 3. I've actually never seen the anime or read the manga for this series, so I'm going into it kind of blind. But a lot of people like this series, and I'm liking it so far. One of the downsides of this, however, is that there is a little bit of fat phobia so far that I'm not really enjoying. I am trying to keep in mind that it is from an older time period where, like, that kind of humor was okay. They've definitely moved away from it now that it mainly has to do with the first volume. But I feel like if it's extremely heavily looked at later, I might choose to DNF the series, even if it is a fun series. But right now, I'm kind of not okay with it. That's not the right word, but I can overlook it. I think if it gets any worse, I'm gonna have to take a break and maybe not pick the series up. Next up, I have something I'm very excited for, and that is The Apothecary Diaries light novel volume 3. If you're familiar with the anime, this is the beginning of season 2. I'm incredibly excited right now. Oh my gosh, it kind of like matches my outfit. Look at that. I'm kind of excited right now because I actually recently went to Anime Expo this past weekend, which is why this video is so late, because I was working on the thing I was gonna wear to Anime Expo and time got away from me. However, I did know that season 3 comes out in October, the part 1 of it, and then I knew about the live action movie. However, they announced an animated movie that comes out in December in Japan, so unfortunately it just means it's probably not gonna be in the US for a little bit, but like still, I'm so excited just because thank you to the very, very talented translators of TikTok who put those clips up. And even though it's not the full movie and I don't want spoilers, it's just, I really appreciate you. Yes, and I love the series. But you might be looking at me right now and going, Zarina, what the heck? So if you've never heard of the Apothecary Diaries, we're following Mama, who is an apprentice apothecary, and she gets kidnapped and sent to a palace. Wow, a lot of kidnapping this month. Yikes. But she gets sent to a palace set in kind of like a fantasy land that's heavily inspired by ancient China. And last volume, she gets fired from the palace and is brought back. We learn more about Mama's past. This volume, low-key, I can't remember what the beginning of season 2 of Apothecary Diaries follows, but I just know it's that. So I'm excited because the second half of season 2 of Apothecary Diaries is crazy, and I'm excited. And that means volume 5. Okay, yep. Okay, we're moving on. Cool, bye. Up next, I have volume 12 of Fairy Tail, and I also have 13 and 14 as backup. If you've never heard of Fairy Tail, we are following Lucy Harphelia. She is a celestial wizard, which means she fights with these keys that can summon spirits from like the realm. She wants to join a wizard's guild, which is kind of like, in this world, it allows wizards to get work and be paid for her talents, where she accidentally meets Natsu, who is a dragon slayer and is from one of the most powerful guilds there is, Fairy Tail. So she joins the guild. I'm in the middle of the Tower of Heaven arc, and if you've seen the anime, you know it's just one of the best arcs of the entire series, and I'm just so happy that I get to read it there. I love Urza, and knowing, like, when I first learned her past, I swear I was like crying through like half the Tower of Heaven arc, and like this is even more exciting just because like I recently went to the Kondasha House event in LA, and it was lovely, and they had some stuff for the Fairy Tail 20th anniversary, and it just made me super happy because I feel like not a lot of people I know have watched it, and it's always just really cool to see like Fairy Tail fandom resurface, especially because like the show, the original series did end. There's like Fairy Tail 100-year quest that's still going, and then they just announced more manga for the 20th anniversary called like Re-Fantasia. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited just because like there could be more anime, and I like the reason, so I still haven't seen the last season of the anime just because like I didn't want it to end, and now I have plenty of content, so I'm very excited. How many times can I say I'm very excited in this video? Ignore the book off tag. Next up, we have Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is the 3rd book in this series. We're following Lucian, which has been my favorite character so far, even though he's not really, he's like kind of a big deal in the other books, but like not really. I'm very excited for his story and his love interest. I feel like they've already set up their chemistry really well. I don't think I'm going to be keeping this series. I do have physical copies that I got from the used bookstore, mainly just because kind of like the first one, and then I don't really think I like the second one. I think I had a good time while reading it, but there's just a lot that I'm like, I don't really care for. If I really like this book, I will probably just keep this one and then get rid of the other 2, but yeah, I'm prepared to have a good time. And it also matches my outfit, look at that! Up next, Inuyasha, Volume 12. Okay, so apparently it was just a really purple month, because up next we have Spiral by Balaclava. This one, I just know we're following a hockey player and a ballerina. And so I didn't like, this is the 2nd book in whatever series this is. I think the first one, oh, is it Revolve? I don't remember, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really love the first book by this author, just mainly because her main character was just so whiny and kind of like could not see like she was just not self-aware at all, which I don't really find enjoyable. However, that was the first book that I've read from her, so it could just be that one. So I am looking forward to this one, mainly because there's also ballerina. If you don't know this about me, I actually used to do competitive dance, and ballet was one of my favorite genres, and I did that from age 2 to 17. So ballet was quite a big part of my life, which could be a great point for this book. However, if it's very inaccurately presented, I feel like I will hate it. So it's a double-edged sword. We're gonna see how the double-edged sword, that's not the saying I was looking for. Anyway, we're gonna see how this goes. Okay, yeah, I think I was just definitely picking purple books this month for some reason. Up next we have Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the same author as Icebreaker. I will say I hated Icebreaker. I really liked whatever the second one was, so I am looking forward to this one. I feel like a lot of the issues from Icebreaker she fixed in her writing by the second one, so I think I'm gonna have a good time. I don't remember anything about this one. I bought it a long time ago and decided I should finally get to it. So this is where my plans get a little bit iffy because I also have 2 more volumes of manga from the library that I'm trying to get to. These are not officially a part of my count. However, if I get to them, that would be great because they are library books. And that is Insomniac's After School, volumes 5 and 6. In this series, we are following 2 students who both suffer with insomnia, which means they're both tired and grouchy all the time at school. And they find the school's old like astronomy observation deck and they sneak in there, they get caught. And so the only way that they can continue like their hangouts and is to reinstate the school's astronomy club, and we're following their story as they try to get the club started and as they may or may not be falling in love. And it's so cute. The art is gorgeous, and it's a very lighthearted, very fun manga. And up next we do have another volume of manga, and that is Noragami volume 7. So in this story we are following Hiyori. One day she is helping someone out and gets hit by a bus and put in a coma. I know, crazy start to a story. But after she recovers, she thinks everything's great, and then one day she discovers that her body has decided to like fall asleep, and while she's asleep, her soul escapes her body and enters the yokai world. In this yokai form, she has this tail, and if that tail manages to get cut by a demon, she will die for real. So she enlists the help of a god named Noragami to help her find a way to permanently put her soul back in the body. This volume is the end of the last arc, which was really, really crazy. They go up to, like, there's a god battle between Noragami and a major warrior god, and it was really cool. And that was where the anime stopped, so this is kind of like officially after it now, and I'm very excited. Also, kind of matches my outfit because it's pink. Up next, I'm planning to make more progress on Emma, another 100 pages. I'm currently 100 pages in. I'm actually very surprised how much I'm liking this. Emma is a terrible person, but it's kind of like when you watch reality TV and like you just know the people that you're watching are terrible people. It is set in Regency, England. Emma happens to be a daughter of a rich father who's very high in society. So even though she's a woman, she doesn't have to follow a lot of the conventional women rules, and she decides one day that she is a matchmaker. So she spends her time matchmaking people around her. However, she's kind of also oblivious to a lot of things in society, and from what I understand, it is a romance because Jane Austen. So I'm very excited to see where the story goes. Crazy that I've never, I don't know how the story ends. I actually don't know. So I've never watched another adaptation of this. So I genuinely actually don't know who she ends up with, and I'm very excited. Up next, something else I'm super excited for, Witch Hat Atelier Volume 12. Both at Anime Expo and the Kodansha House LA event, they had so many cool things for Witch Hat. Also, because the anime is now out and like season 1 is over, there was so many people cosplaying as Kifri, Elrugio, and the girls, and it just made me really happy because I've been following this series for a very long time. I am behind. I think they're up to volume 14 in English, and I have read up to volume 11, which is why I'm reading 12. I've been reading this since my junior year of high school, which was like 7 years now, so I don't want to think about that. However, the story is great. The art is amazing. Basically, in the story, we're following Coco. She's about 10 years old, and she is the daughter of a seamstress. She's obsessed with magic. However, she's in a world where you're either born a witch or you're not. However, one day she discovers that anyone can actually become a witch if you know how to draw, and she decides to copy a pattern out of a magic book that she received when she was a kid. And when she does that, she actually activates a forbidden spell. Luckily, Kifri's the one who finds her and takes her into his atelier, both because he really cares about her well-being and also because he's got a secret that we're trying to figure out. This is I believe the conclusion to I'm forgetting what the festival is called, but like the Magic Festival arc. I feel like that arc so far has been my favorite. It's not animated yet, but it's probably one of my favorites. We get a lot of character growth for Agat and for Coco, and if you know the series, you know it just keeps getting darker in such a painful way, because in a way, a lot of the stuff that's happening in the story could have been prevented. However, due to the nature of the Society of the Witches and the way they have chosen to protect magic, it just, it's so heartbreaking and like it's so crazy, and I just cannot wait to see where the story goes from here. Up next, we have another full-length book, and that is Psycho Shifter by Jasmine Mas. She's also the author of the Blood of Hercules series. I believe there's 2 books out, and I know these books came out first. However, I am very excited. Blood of Hercules, I'm not gonna say was a good book. I feel like there was a lot of I was very, very confused when I did listen to the audiobooks. I was confused when I was listening. I didn't know what was going on all the time, but I was just kind of there for the vibes and kind of just like suspended my disbelief, and I had a great time. I am a little nervous, but I feel like a lot of people like these series, and they just got new covers, I believe, and like they're having special editions. So I'm gonna guess they're a pretty well-loved series. So we're just gonna have a good time. I have no idea what these are about. I believe they're wide shoes, which is always exciting. Oh, darn, I did forget to mention it. I have another book in here that I don't have a physical copy of. I only have an audiobook, and that is Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. This book came out of my TBR. I don't remember how I heard of it. I also know it's wide shoes, and I believe it's also like gray and purple, so it also matches my outfit. But yeah, just a lot of white shoes. And a lot of romance this month. We're not gonna talk about it. Not helping my case. Up next we have Bad Girl Reputation by Elle Kennedy. This is the second book in, I forgot what the first one is called. This is the second book that follows Good Girl Complex. I'm kind of iffy about the series. I don't like the original Off-Campus series as much as I like her newer stuff. And this kind of falls somewhere in the middle. Like they're pretty okay. They're a lot shorter than the Off-Campus books. So yeah, I just figured it'd probably be a quick read, and I've been holding on to this for a little while, so I just figured it's time to read it and get rid of it if I don't like it. After that, we have volume 17 of Snow White with the Red Hair. In this story, we are following another apothecary. Her name is Shirayuki. She has bright red hair, and due to that, sometimes she gets into trouble. One day she meets Prince Zen, and she becomes friends, and and they go on adventures. So far, I've been really struggling with this series just because there's been kind of a long arc where Shirayuki and Zen have not really been together, and there hasn't been much like emotional arc happening. It's much more like actual plot heavy, which I do like. I do like the way the arc was done. It's just like I miss my ship. Like, please bring them back together. I'm as sad as they are that they are separated. Another purple book. This was not on purpose. Some of these came out of the TBR jar when I picked them, so. Next up, we have The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. This is the sequel to Behind the Net. I did like Behind the Net a lot. I read it a while ago, and I remember the vague plot points of it, so I'm not going to try to describe it here, but it's a hockey romance. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to say for myself this month. And then last thing that I plan to try to get to this month is volume 4 of Spy Family. This cover is so cute. I love Bond. He's like definitely my favorite character. So if you've never heard of Spy Family, basically you're following Agent Twilight. He is hidden in this country under the alias Lloyd Forger, where he is tasked with getting a wife and a child, because to get close to the person that he's supposed to, he has to have a daughter in the Imperial Scholars program, which is like an honors program at this school, because that is the only time that this person specifically goes to meet, like out in public. And so he adopts a daughter. Her name is Anya, and what he doesn't know is that she's telepathic, and then the wife that he accidentally like brings in is an assassin. And so they're all trying to keep their identities hidden from each other. They also adopt a dog who turns out to be clairvoyant, which is Bond here. And yeah, it's all kinds of shenanigans. It's so cute. I love the anime. I know why anime seasons are short, but like the fact that this last season was pretty short kind of broke my heart, because anyway, so that is the last book that I am trying to get to this month. I don't know what to say for myself. I know I just said like I'm burnt out and I somehow planned all this for myself. I really need to see some movement in my TBR numbers. I'm currently sitting at 176 unfinished books in my physical TBR, including the library books, but that also does not include ebooks and audiobooks that I have on my phone. I know, it honestly has gone away from me. I've been trying really hard not to buy books. I just feel like last month I got down to like 150 and then made bad decisions at the library. So I do think once I get past To Kill a Kingdom, things are gonna go much more smoothly, just because they're authors I've read from before. I didn't really want to read anything new from a new author this month, and I think that's a little bit because I'm burnt out, and just because I did mess up when I put my TBR jar together. And I did put, the way I kind of structured it was like, at the time when I put it together, I was looking for something new, so I had a lot of new authors. However, I just put way too many slips in there, and like I do want to see them run out before I refill it, but I don't know, it kind of backfired. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you've made it to the end of the video. I appreciate it a lot if you liked and subscribed. Also leave a comment. What are you trying to get to this month? Do you have any manga series you want to be starting? Let me know. But that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Okay,